My fellow Africans, esteemed leaders, and people of the world, it is with immense pride and a heart full of joy that I, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Burkina Faso, stand before you today to extend my deepest congratulations to a true son of Africa, Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye. Dr. Olutoye, your groundbreaking feat in the field of medicine has not only saved a precious life, but has illuminated the boundless potential that resides within our people. At a time when the world often overlooks our capabilities, you have shown us all what true excellence looks like. Let me recount this miracle for those who may not yet know its full glory. In 2016, faced with a dire situation, you performed an unprecedented surgery on a tiny fetus just 23 weeks into gestation. A baby still nestled in her mother's womb, threatened by a massive sacrococcygeal teratoma, a tumor nearly as large as the child herself, endangering both lives. With steady hands guided by unparalleled skill and innovation, you gently removed the fetus from the womb, excised the life-threatening growth in a meticulous 4-hour procedure, and then, with the precision of a master craftsman, returned the baby to the safety of her mother's body. Weeks later, that same child, Linley, was born healthy, thriving, without complications, a testament to your genius. This was no ordinary operation. It was a defiance of limits, a fusion of cutting-edge science and unyielding determination. Dr. Olutoye, you didn't just perform surgery. You rewove the very fabric of possibility, proving that even in the most fragile moments of life, African ingenuity can prevail. This achievement is not isolated. It is a beacon that shines light on the profound truth that Black people possess all it takes to stand independent, to lead, to innovate, and to heal our own. For too long, colonial narratives have sought to diminish us, to make us believe that progress comes only from external hands. But look at you, Dr. Olutoye, a Nigerian-American surgeon trained in the fires of African resilience, who has shattered those chains. Your work echoes the call for self-reliance that we in Burkina Faso champion every day. We have the minds, the hearts, and the hands to build our futures without begging at foreign doors. Independence is not just political. It is intellectual, scientific, and medical. And Black people have proven this time and again through deeds that have reshaped the world. Consider the realm of medicine, where Black pioneers have long blazed trails that save millions. Think of Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, the African-American surgeon who, in 1893, performed the world's first successful open-heart surgery, stitching a wounded pericardium in a Chicago hospital when such procedures were deemed impossible. His innovation laid the foundation for modern cardiology, yet how often is his name celebrated in global halls? Or Dr. Charles Drew, whose groundbreaking work in the 1940s on blood plasma preservation and large-scale blood banks revolutionized transfusion medicine, saving countless lives during World War II and beyond. Ironic, isn't it, that his method sustained armies while he fought segregation in his own land? And let's not forget Dr. Patricia Bath, the ophthalmologist who invented the Laserfico probe in 1986, a device that transformed cataract surgery, restoring sight to the blind with laser precision. These are not footnotes in history. They are chapters written in Black excellence, showing that we have always had the vision, literally and figuratively, to cure what ails humanity. But our contributions extend far beyond the operating room into the vast expanse of inventions that power the modern world. Garrett Augustus Morgan, born to formerly enslaved parents, invented the 3-position traffic signal in 1923, a device that brought order to chaotic streets and prevented untold accidents. His earlier creation, the gas mask, protected soldiers in World War I and firefighters ever since. Lewis Howard Latimer, a self-taught draftsman, perfected the carbon filament for incandescent light bulbs in the 1880s, making Thomas Edison's invention practical and affordable, illuminating homes across the globe. Elijah McCoy's automatic lubricator for steam engines in the 1870s earned the phrase "the real McCoy" for its superior quality, revolutionizing railroads and industry. And Granville T. Woods, often called the Black Edison, held over 60 patents, including the multiplex telegraph that allowed trains to communicate, preventing disasters and advancing transportation. In academics and science, our legacy runs even deeper, challenging the stars themselves. Percy Lavon Julian, the chemist who synthesized physostigmine for glaucoma treatment and cortisone for arthritis in the 1930s and 1940s, overcame racial barriers to become one of the first Black Americans with a PhD in chemistry. His work alleviated suffering for generations. Dr. Marie Maynard Daly, the first black woman in America to earn a PhD in chemistry in 1947, unraveled the links between cholesterol and heart disease, paving the way for preventive medicine. From Africa, Philip Emeagwali's designs in the 1980s contributed to supercomputers that predict weather patterns and model oil reservoirs, earning him the Gordon Bell Prize. And Wangari Maathai, the Kenyan environmentalist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate in 2004, founded the Green Belt movement, planting millions of trees and empowering communities, proving that black intellect can heal the planet as well as the body. These are but a few threads in the rich tapestry of black achievement, from the ancient scholars of Timbuktu who preserved knowledge when Europe was in darkness, to modern trailblazers like Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, whose work on mRNA technology accelerated the COVID-19 vaccine, saving billions. We have invented, discovered, and led in every field. Agriculture with George Washington Carver's 300 uses for peanuts. Space with Mae Jemison, the first black woman astronaut in 1992. Technology with Mark Dean, co-inventor of the IBM personal computer in the 1980s. Each story reinforces that independence is our birthright, that we need no one's permission to excel. Dr. Olutoye, your surgery is the latest jewel in this crown, inspiring young Africans to pursue STEM, to dream big, to know that the tumor of doubt can be excised just as surely as the one you removed. And yet, there is so much more to say about our unsung heroes, like the brilliant minds in engineering and aviation, such as Lonnie Johnson, the African-American inventor whose Super Soaker toy in the 1990s funded his deeper pursuits in renewable energy, developing thermodynamic systems that could revolutionize solar power. Or Bessie Coleman, the first black woman to earn a pilot's license in 1921, defying racism and sexism to barnstorm across skies, inspiring generations of aviators. From the mathematical genius of Katherine Johnson, whose calculations at NASA in the 1960s sent astronauts to the moon and back safely, to the environmental stewardship of Dr. Warren Washington, a pioneer in climate modeling since the 1960s, whose work on atmospheric simulations has warned the world of global warming. These are the black innovators who have propelled humanity forward, often without the acclaim they deserve. My brothers and sisters, now imagine an Africa where all these professionals, and countless more like them, are not scattered across distant lands, but rooted firmly in our soil, working tirelessly in our various sectors. Picture Dr. Olutoye not in a foreign hospital, but leading a state-of-the-art medical center in Lagos or Ouagadougou, training young surgeons to perform miracles on African children. Envision Percy Julian's chemical breakthroughs applied in African labs to develop affordable drugs for malaria and sickle cell disease, diseases that disproportionately ravage our people. See Garrett Morgan's inventive spirit alive in African cities, designing traffic systems that ease the chaos of our growing metropolises, or Elijah McCoy's lubrication technologies enhancing our railways and factories, powering industrial revolutions from Addis Ababa to Cape Town. Imagine Mae Jemison collaborating with African space agencies in Kenya or Nigeria, launching satellites that monitor our climates, secure our borders, and connect our remote villages to the digital world. Think of Wangari Maathai's tree planting legacy expanded across the Sahel, with black environmental scientists combating desertification, restoring our lands, and ensuring food security for millions. In this Africa, our agricultural sectors would flourish under the guidance of minds like George Washington Carver, whose crop rotation methods could transform depleted soils into bountiful harvests, reducing our dependence on imported foods. Our tech industries would boom with innovators like Mark Dean, co-creating computers tailored for African needs, affordable devices for education in rural schools, AI systems for predicting droughts or managing wildlife conservation. In energy, Lonnie Johnson's renewable tech could harness our abundant sun and wind, lighting up homes from Dakar to Dar es Salaam without reliance on exploitative foreign grids. Healthcare would be revolutionized. Dr. Patricia Bath's laser tools eradicating blindness in our communities, Dr. Charles Drew's blood banks saving lives during our conflicts and crises, all managed by African hands for African people. Education would soar, with scholars like those from ancient Timbuktu revived in modern universities, fostering critical thinking and innovation. Even in governance and economics, the strategic brilliance of leaders past and present would craft policies that prioritize our wealth, our minerals, our oil, our fertile lands, for our benefit, not for export to distant shores. That's how you will truly understand why the West never wants Africa to stand on its own 2 feet. They fear this vision because it spells the end of their dominance, the collapse of a system built on our subjugation. For centuries, colonial powers and their neo-colonial heirs have engineered our underdevelopment, siphoning our brightest minds through brain drain, luring them with scholarships, visas, and promises of opportunity, only to exploit their genius for Western gain. Consider the statistics. Millions of African professionals, from doctors to engineers, have migrated since the 1960s, costing our continent an estimated $4 billion annually in lost human capital, according to reports from the African Union. These are not just numbers. They are stolen futures. The West benefits from our doctors staffing their hospitals, our scientists patenting inventions in their labs, our entrepreneurs building their economies, all while Africa bleeds talent. If these brains returned, brain drain would be reversed, reduced to a trickle, and the West would find itself on the losing side. Their universities emptier, their tech firms starved of innovation, their medical system strained without our expertise. No longer could they claim superiority when the architects of their progress are revealed as the very people they've oppressed. Africans have a lot of great brains and abilities. Raw, untapped potential that rivals any on Earth. We are the cradle of humanity, the origin of civilization, with a genetic diversity that breeds resilience and creativity. From the pyramids of Egypt, engineered with mathematical precision millennia ago, to the intricate iron smelting of ancient Nok culture in Nigeria, we've always been innovators. Today, young Africans are coding apps that solve local problems, like M-Pesa in Kenya revolutionizing mobile banking since 2007, or drones delivering medical supplies in Rwanda. We have philosophers like Frantz Fanon, whose writings on decolonization in the 1950s and 1960s still guide our liberation. Economists like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, leading global trade at the WTO, and activists like Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, whose narratives reshape worldviews. Our abilities extend to arts, sports, and culture. Think of the rhythmic genius in Afrobeat pioneered by Fela Kuti, influencing global music, or the athletic prowess of athletes like Eliud Kipchoge, shattering marathon records and embodying endurance. We possess the intellectual firepower to lead in AI, biotechnology, and green energy, but systemic barriers have funneled it elsewhere. That is precisely why my government in Burkina Faso is working tirelessly to make Africa a place that will attract them back home, to create an ecosystem where our diaspora feels compelled to return and invest their skills. We're investing in education reforms, building STEM centers equipped with modern tools, offering incentives like tax breaks and startup grants to repatriate entrepreneurs. We're fostering Pan-African collaborations, like the African Continental Free Trade Area, to create markets vast enough to rival Europe's, where our inventors can thrive without emigrating. But the first step, the crucial non-negotiable foundation, is loosening the grip of the West and Europe on Africa and its resources, for they are parasites that have hindered our growth for far too long. These imperial forces, from France's lingering control over our currencies through the CFA franc to multinational corporations plundering our cobalt in the Congo or oil in Nigeria, extract trillions while leaving us in poverty. They impose debt traps via institutions like the IMF and World Bank, conditional loans that force privatization and austerity, stripping our sovereignty. Their military bases, like those in Djibouti or Niger, prop up puppet regimes and suppress uprisings. Even aid is a Trojan horse, billions funneled back to Western contractors, perpetuating dependency. This parasitism drains our economies. Africa loses $89 billion annually to illicit financial flows, according to UN estimates, money that could fund hospitals, schools, and labs to retain our talent. Delve deeper, and you'll see how this grip manifests in every sector. In mining, European firms control 70% of Africa's mineral exports, from gold in Mali to diamonds in Botswana, repatriating profits while locals endure environmental devastation and exploitation. Child labor in cobalt mines powering Western electric cars, a modern slavery. In agriculture, Western subsidies undercut our farmers. The EU dumps cheap chicken in West Africa, bankrupting local producers and forcing migration. Intellectually, they co-opt our knowledge. African researchers publish in Western journals, their data mined for patents that benefit foreign pharma giants, denying us royalties on our own biodiversity. Politically, they meddle through sanctions and coups, as seen in recent history across the Sahel, fearing leaders like myself who demand resource sovereignty. This hinders growth by design, keeping us as raw material suppliers, not industrialized nations. To break free, we must nationalize key industries, renegotiate unfair trade deals, and build alliances with non-exploitative partners. Only then can we create secure, prosperous homelands where our great brains flourish, reducing brain drain to zero and turning the tide. But this struggle is ongoing, with challenges like corruption legacies, security threats from external-backed insurgents, and the entrenched economic sabotage that seeks to keep us divided. Yet, in the face of these adversities, we in Burkina Faso are not merely resisting. We are building, innovating, and reclaiming our destiny with unyielding resolve. My government is at the forefront of this renaissance, making concerted efforts to construct world-class hospitals, schools, and revenue-generating firms that will not only serve our people but magnetize our professionals and technicians back home from the diaspora. These initiatives are designed to create an environment of excellence, where African talent can thrive without the lure of foreign shores, fostering self-sufficiency and pride in our homeland. Let us start with healthcare, a sector where we've long been underserved, forcing our doctors and nurses to seek opportunities abroad. Under my administration, we are reversing this tide by investing heavily in state-of-the-art medical facilities. For instance, we have launched the construction of 55 rural medical centers across the country, strategically placed in underserved villages and communes to ensure that no Burkinabe is more than a short journey from quality care. These centers are not makeshift clinics but modern hubs equipped with diagnostic tools, surgical suites, and telemedicine capabilities, drawing on partnerships with African and non-Western allies to incorporate cutting-edge technology like solar-powered refrigeration for vaccines and AI-assisted diagnostics. Already, several of these centers in regions like the Sahel and Center Nord are operational, providing free or subsidized services for maternal health, infectious disease control, and emergency surgeries, echoing the life-saving precision of Dr. Olutoye's work but scaled for our masses. Imagine our diaspora surgeons, trained in the West but rooted in African values, returning to lead these facilities, performing complex procedures on home soil and training the next generation. This is not a dream. It's happening, with over 20 centers completed since 2023, reducing maternal mortality rates and stemming the outflow of medical talent. In education, the bedrock of any independent nation, we are erecting institutions that rival the world's best, to nurture the great brains we so desperately need to retain. The flagship project here is the new Polytechnic University in Ouagadougou, currently under construction and set to open its doors fully by late 2025. This isn't just another campus. It's a beacon of STEM excellence, with faculties in engineering, biotechnology, renewable energy, and agronomy, complete with research labs funded by our reclaimed resources. Drawing inspiration from ancient African centers of learning like those in Timbuktu, it will offer scholarships to diaspora students and professionals, incentivizing their return with competitive salaries and research grants. We've already completed Phase 1, including lecture halls and dormitories, enrolling hundreds in pilot programs that focus on practical skills, like developing drought-resistant crops or affordable solar panels, tailored to Africa's challenges. Beyond this, we've rehabilitated and expanded over 100 primary and secondary schools nationwide, integrating digital classrooms and vocational training in fields like mining technology and healthcare administration. These efforts are pulling back our educators and scientists, who see in Burkina Faso not a place of lack, but a laboratory for innovation where their abilities can uplift entire communities. And to fuel this all, we are establishing revenue-generating firms that harness our natural wealth, turning exploitation into empowerment. Gold, the glittering symbol of our sovereignty, stands at the heart of this transformation. Since taking office, my government has boldly nationalized key mining operations, seizing control of 5 major gold mines previously dominated by foreign corporations. Mines like those in Hound and Karma, where Western firms extracted billions while leaving our people in poverty. In 2024 and 2025, we increased the government's stake in all gold projects from 10% to 15% under our revised mining code, ensuring that profits flow back into Burkinabe coffers rather than overseas bank accounts. These moves have generated hundreds of millions in revenue, which we're channeling directly into development. For example, the state-owned Sonabi, Société Nationale Burkinabe de Hydrocarbures, has been revitalized as a revenue powerhouse, not just in oil but in diversified energy ventures, including biofuel plants that employ local technicians and reduce our import dependency. We've completed the setup of processing facilities at these mines, where raw ore is now refined locally, creating thousands of jobs for our engineers and geologists, many of whom are returning from abroad, enticed by ownership shares and profit-sharing models. This isn't mere rhetoric. Production has surged, with gold exports under national control funding everything from hospital equipment to university scholarships. Infrastructure, the arteries of progress, forms another pillar of our completed projects, binding our nation together and attracting investment. We've tackled this head-on, starting with the massive Samandeni Dam in the Hauts-Bassins region, a hydroelectric marvel that's now 61% complete as of mid-2025, on track for full operation by year's end. This dam isn't just about power, it's a multifaceted giant providing irrigation for over 30,000 hectares of farmland, flood control for vulnerable communities, and electricity for rural electrification, powering our new medical centers and schools. Funded entirely by internal resources, including gold revenues, it's a slap in the face to parasitic aid models. Alongside this, we've completed over 500 kilometers of paved roads since 2023, connecting mining sites to urban centers, like the upgraded Ouagadougou-Bobo-Dioulasso Highway, which has slashed transport times and boosted trade. In agriculture, we've launched and finished irrigation schemes in the Suru Valley, transforming arid lands into productive farms that yield rice, maize, and vegetables, employing repatriated agronomists to implement Carver-inspired sustainable methods. Urban renewal projects in cities like Koudougou include modern markets and industrial parks, revenue-generating hubs where local firms produce textiles and processed foods, drawing back our entrepreneurs with tax incentives and secure environments. These accomplishments extend to cultural and environmental realms, where we've completed the restoration of historical sites like the ruins of Lorapini, turning them into revenue streams through ecotourism that employs local guides and historians. In energy, solar farms in the Est region, fully operational since early 2025, generate clean power and jobs for technicians trained abroad. Each project is a brick in the wall of independence, showing that when we control our resources, we can build world-class institutions without Western strings attached. Yet, as we forge ahead, we encounter obstacles such as... But as this paradigm shifts, we must confront the internal divisions that have been sown by external forces to keep us fragmented. Tribal rivalries inflamed by colonial borders, economic disparities widened by corrupt elites propped up from abroad. Yet, in overcoming these, we unlock the true power of our continent. My fellow Africans, let me tell you plainly, we have great minds here in Africa that are yet to be discovered, hidden gems in our villages, townships, and cities, waiting for the right soil to flourish. These are not the elite few who've made it to global headlines, but the everyday geniuses innovating in the shadows, solving problems with ingenuity born of necessity. Think of the young inventors in informal settlements across Nairobi's Kibera or Lagos Makoko, tinkering with scrap metal to create solar-powered water purifiers or biogas digesters that turn waste into cooking fuel, prototypes that could rival Silicon Valley startups if given resources. Or the mathematical prodigies in rural Ethiopia, self-taught through borrowed books, cracking algorithms that could optimize crop yields for our famines. We've seen glimpses, like 19-year-old Sierra Leonean Kelvin Doe, who at 13 built his own radio station from dumpster parts in 2012, broadcasting to his community and earning an MIT fellowship. Multiply that by millions, the untapped potential in our youth bulge, where 60% of Africa's 1.4 billion people are under 25, a demographic dividend that could drive global innovation if we invest in discovery programs like Burkina Faso's National Talent Hunts, scouting rural areas for STEM with kids since 2023. And our technicians? They are doing incredibly well with their craft, masters of adaptation who turn limitations into triumphs, often outpacing Western counterparts in resourcefulness. In workshops from Dakar to Durban, these artisans and engineers repair everything from motorcycles to medical equipment with improvised tools, extending lifespans far beyond design. Consider the Jua Kali sector in Kenya, Swahili for hot sun, where informal metalworkers forge everything from farm tools to electric vehicles, generating $1 billion annually and employing millions. In Burkina Faso, our textile technicians in Bobo Dioulasso are reviving traditional Bogolan mud cloth techniques, blending them with modern dyes to create export-quality fabrics that fetch premium prices in global markets, all while preserving cultural heritage. Or the mechanics in Nigeria's Otigba Computer Village, Africa's largest ICT hub, who disassemble, repair, and upgrade electronics faster and cheaper than factory services, handling everything from drone assembly to cybersecurity tweaks. These craftsmen have honed skills through generations. Think of the bronze casters of Benin Kingdom, whose intricate lost wax techniques from the 13th century still produce artworks rivaling European Renaissance masters. Today, in Zimbabwe, technicians at places like the Harare Institute of Technology are 3D printing prosthetic limbs customized for local needs, costing a fraction of imported ones. Their craft isn't just survival, it's excellence, evident in Rwanda's drone technicians who maintain fleets for blood delivery since 2016, saving lives in remote areas with precision engineering that has inspired global health logistics. Our medical doctors, they are next to God, wielding knowledge and compassion that defy death itself, performing miracles in under-resourced settings that would humble the most advanced hospitals. These healers, trained in our universities or abroad but rooted in African empathy, navigate crises with godlike intuition, diagnosing without fancy scans, operating by lantern light during power outages. In South Africa, surgeons like those at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, the world's third largest, handle 2,000 emergencies daily, pioneering techniques in trauma care born from treating apartheid-era violence and now applied to global pandemics. Ethiopian Dr. Catherine Hamlin, though Australian by birth, built fistula hospitals with local doctors who've restored dignity to over 60,000 women since 1974, a model of surgical divinity. In Burkina Faso, our physicians at the Algado Ouedraogo University Hospital are leading anti-malaria campaigns, developing herbal integrations with Western medicine that reduce mortality by 20% in trials as of 2025. And across the continent, doctors like Uganda's Stella Nyanzi, who blend activism with medicine, or Nigeria's teams eradicating polio through door-to-door vaccinations amid Boko Haram threats. These are saviors who embody next to God, saving preterm babies in makeshift NICUs or containing Ebola outbreaks with bare-bones PPE. Their proximity to divinity comes from holistic care, incorporating traditional healers' wisdom, like using neem extracts for infections, achieving outcomes that Western medicine envies. In truth, we have everything, be it in human resources or natural resources, to rival any superpower, a wealth so vast it could reshape the world if fully harnessed. Our human capital is unparalleled, 1.4 billion strong, with diverse talents from linguistic polyglots speaking 2,000 languages to entrepreneurial spirits launching startups at rates triple the global average. Africa's fintech scene alone, led by minds in Nigeria's Paystack, acquired for $200 million in 2020, and Kenya's M-Kopa, serving 3 million off-grid homes with solar, attracts billions in investment. We boast polymaths like Sudanese billionaire Mo Ibrahim, whose foundation scores governance to nurture leaders, or Malawian inventor William Kamkwamba, who at 14 built a windmill from scrap in 2002 to electrify his village, inspiring TED Talks and films. In natural resources, we're custodians of the planet's bounty, 30% of the world's mineral reserves, including 40% of gold, 90% of platinum, and vast lithium deposits in Zimbabwe and Namibia fueling the battery revolution. The Congo Basin, our second lung after the Amazon, sequesters 1.5 billion tons of carbon yearly, while arable lands in Zambia and Tanzania could feed the globe if irrigated properly. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, nearing full capacity in 2025, generates 6,000 megawatts, powering industrialization. Oil in the Gulf of Guinea, gas in Mozambique's Rovuma Basin, reserves worth $100 billion, rare earths in Burundi, biodiversity in Madagascar yielding medicinal plants like the rosy periwinkle, source of cancer drugs. These aren't just commodities, they're leverage. Combined with human ingenuity, like Tanzanian miners using AI apps for efficient extraction or Senegalese fishers sustainably harvesting oceans teeming with tuna, we possess a synergy that makes dependency obsolete. Yet, to unleash this fully, we face the challenge of